Okay, Dhananjay Sinha joining in. He's co-head of Equities and head of research strategy and economics at Systematix this morning. Dhananjay, very good morning to you. Now we're talking markets.
Good morning.
We're talking Bihar. So the first of the tallies coming in, and obviously we're not going to come to any conclusion, few minutes in, and with such little data. But so far, the NDA at 27, the Mahagathbandhan at 15. Others, including Jan Swaraj, don't seem to have opened an account. If there is a closer fight than anticipated, do you think the markets will see it as a negative or shrug it off?
So I think most important thing would be whether the NDA is able to, get a reasonable margin and they win with considerable margin is what the market might be interested in. Because if they lose, I think the equation at the center can actually change. So we don't know what the results would be. I don't think I would like to guess what the outcome would be, but the equation can actually change if the outcomes are not very favorable for the NDA. So I think the markets might actually consider that as an adverse outcome. But as all the exit polls are suggesting, the NDA would get comfortable lead with almost like 140 to 150 seats. So I think that is what is the common information. We'll need to see whether it translates or not. So I think that is a most critical situation for the markets. The stability of the central government will be tested if they don't win.
Dhananjay, the other aspect is, and we were reading a note by Chris Wood, and he's talking about the state of affairs in a few states on the fiscal side. And at the center, there's no arguing the fact that there has been significant improvement in the balance sheets, in the fact that the fiscal deficit has shrunk materially, and there is a lot of pragmatism in the spending. But that it can't be extended to the states. You've seen Dole. And so is that a concern, not necessarily in the next few months, but maybe as a structural problem 3, 4, 5, 7 years down the line?
So clearly, I think if you look at the aggregate public debt for the central and the state government all put together, it's roughly touching almost like 300 lakh crores. So for the center, it is almost like 198 lakh crores for FY25 and roughly about 90 to 100 lakh crores for the state governments. And there is a considerable rise that has happened. And more recently, because of the tax devolution and the slower in tax collection, the proportion that is devolving on states are actually reduced. So I think that is a problem that state governments are facing. And because of the political reasons, people are also sort of giving freebies. I think we are seeing that across states. So I think there is an issue on the fiscal management side, whereas the central government has tried to show a certain prudence in terms of the incremental fiscal deficit numbers and all, and that has enabled rating upgrades. But I think the underlying, if we consider the central government, state government data, it does look worrisome, and it is quite likely that this trend might actually extend going forward as well. So I think yes, there is a concern on the fiscal sustainability, especially in the context that when the public debt has risen, why the household income hasn't grown, and why the state governments have to really give out dole-outs and stuff. So I think there is an issue with respect to fiscal sustainability for sure.
Dhananjay, once Bihar is clear and done and dusted, and if you have the NDA coming back, the alliance intact in the state and the center, what then becomes key for the markets? And this is assuming that things go as per exit polls. If they don't, then that becomes a whole different question. What is then key for markets? Because we seem particularly vulnerable to what's happening in terms of global headwinds as well.
So I think with respect to the election outcome, I think more or less the market has priced in that the NDA would come back. So I don't think there'll be any surprise if they win. If they lose, definitely there'll be a negative surprise. Beyond that, I think the markets will be focused on the usual stuff that it looks at. I think at this juncture, people are expecting. So you have a second quarter results that are underway, almost done. And we have seen that overall top line growth has been roughly in the region of around 5%. Companies are trying to optimize cost to ensure certain amount of profits. So that is the thing. And if you look at the GST reduction that the government had done, basically to boost demand scenario, I think the effect of that has been fairly varied. There has been a positive impact on auto segment. I think consumer segment hasn't seen that so strongly. There are issues, as we have done channel checks, that there are issues with respect to distributors, cash flow, etc. So we need to see whether so the companies are telling that second half will be better. So how things pan out, whether the demand side improves or not. You look at the consumer companies, the top line growth has been very modest. HUL volume growth has been almost close to zero. Most of the companies has been in the range of 3 to 4%. We have seen that for durables also. You talked about them. So I think those are the things that the market will be looking at from a global standpoint. Of course, the probability of another rate cut in December has actually been decreasing, and we are seeing that there is an issue with respect to the valuation, especially the AI bubble that people are talking about. So that gets vulnerable. So I think from a global standpoint, that is an important thing, and then the effect of that on India will be important. The other thing is also on the trade talk that India is having with the US. If there is a sort of a constructive resolution to that, market is also looking at that.
Yeah.
I think these are the things that the market would be eyeing on. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd be keen to find out what you think after the results, which, if Tamanna is right, is not too many hours away, and Neeraj in particular. All right, Dhananjay, thanks so much for taking the time.